Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's March 13th. These are your headlines. First up, we have the Saltwater Lure Collectors Club show and swap meet this weekend. You don't want to miss that. Also, trout stocking is underway in Massachusetts. We're seeing some big trout coming out of Connecticut. And the striped bass action in the Housatonic River really fired up this week. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. The first one, I just want to talk about that Saltwater Lure Collectors Club show and swap meet. It's over in Westport, Massachusetts at the Whites of Westport, which is 66 State Road. And this show is kind of a sleeper. I feel like not enough people know about it, I feel like. First of all, there is probably the biggest conglomeration of saltwater lure collections you're going to find anywhere. You'll find plugs from all the famous ones going back to the 1930s, like, Chaz Russo and stuff like that. And then, you go right down the line with Bob Pond and Danny Pickney and Donnie Musso and Bobby Beachmaster, all the way to contemporary builders of today, like Gary Soldati and Ryan Smith. So you can kind of walk your way through the entire history of surf casting and striped bass plugs. And at the same time, some of the better or best contemporary builders are also going to be there. Guys like Franktown and Goo Goo Man and Gremlins and Pava Lures and Lights Out and all those guys. They're all going to be there. So you get the opportunity to buy some really awesome builds from those people. And then you got the swap meet aspect of it, which there are just bin upon bin of vintage plugs that are in used condition. Maybe they need a little rehabbing, maybe they need to have the wires replaced or even be sanded down and repainted. That's the thing that always gets me. Every time I go to this show, I end up spending like $250 on plugs that need to be rehabbed. And if you're at the show and you find something that you think you want to rehab but you don't know where to begin, come over to the Fisherman table. I will help you out with that. So we are going to be there. The Fisherman will be there. We'll be renewing subscriptions. We'll have our awesome pliers, and you can sign up for $32 and get a $30 pair of pliers. So you're getting your subscription for $2. It's a pretty good deal. And we're really looking forward to seeing you guys there. So it's 8 to 2 p.m. at the Whites of Westport in Westport, Massachusetts on Saturday only. So don't miss it. And while we're talking about shows and pliers and subscriptions, over the weekend at RISA, we had an incredible show. We saw numbers of subscribers that I haven't seen in over a decade. We brought hundreds upon hundreds of pairs of pliers, and we went through all of them to the point that I had to go around to a bunch of my friends at the show and create like a little raffle prize pack so that the guys that signed up after we ran out of pliers would have something to look forward to. I went over and saw Todd at Hooked Gear. He gave me a really awesome sweatshirt. I went and saw Tom and Declan over at Breachway Bait and Tackle. They gave me a hat. I went and saw my buddy Wayne at Guppy Lures. He gave me a bunker-colored pencil popper. I went and saw Joe at Joe Bags. He gave me one of their big spooks, the Skipper. I went down to Middle Ground Outfitters. They gave me a flutter spoon. And I got some stuff from Fish Bites, and I think that's all of them. But we put together this prize pack, and everyone who signed up after we ran out of pliers is going to be entered into this raffle. And so we picked the name today, and it was Lou DeFelice from Northford, Connecticut. So he's going to win this amazing prize package, and we'll mail that out to him this week. And I'll remind you guys again that we will be at the Saltwater Lure Collectors Club show, and we will have plenty of pliers, so come on by. And if you were at RISA, if you were one of the guys that didn't get a pair of pliers, come on down to the Saltwater Lure Collectors Club show, bring your little yellow slip, and I'll hook you up with a new pair of pliers. Next thing, we have until March 20th to get our public comments in on the whole sector separation thing. Now, I've been talking about this over the last couple of weeks, reminding you guys to go to the meetings and get your get your public comments heard, because sector separation on its own is something that I'm strongly opposed to. I don't want to see any recreational quotas be cut again, so that the recreational side is then made into two different entities, meaning that each one gets a smaller slice of the pie. We don't want that. But as I've dug deeper into this, I've learned a lot more about what else is being proposed, and and just sort of the problem with taking things to the limit that they're taking them to. So fisheries management is mostly governed by MRIP, and MRIP is not, it just doesn't provide complete data. I've been surveyed a couple of times, getting off the boat at the boat ramp, and a college kid comes up to me holding a clipboard and is like, "Hey, you mind if I ask you a couple questions about your catch?" And they, ask you species, how many people you have on the boat, what you released, what you kept, stuff like that. They write all this stuff down, and then it goes into what I assume is an algorithm that takes all these survey data points and then makes them into an average that is then applied to the number of people who are assumed to make a trip, or to have made a trip that season, is a better way to say that. And those numbers are treated as gospel. That's the numbers that they use to make their decisions for the following year, and any new regulations or changes that they have to make. Obviously, that data is not complete, and they have access to some much more complete data that comes off the for-hire side. All the federally permitted charter boats have to submit these things called EVTRs, which is just basically a catch report. And for whatever reason, NOAA only uses these catch reports to, sort of populate the data points of effort. They don't use the catch data, which is preposterous, for one thing. So one of the other things that's being proposed is the possibility that recreational fishermen will also have to submit, like a catch report. And when I first heard about this, I was like, no way anyone's going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I was thinking it just seemed so useless, or so just not, it sort of takes the recreation out of recreational fishing in some way. But, I had to think about it a little bit more, and then I realized, here I am, I stand in front of this camera and, talk about fisheries regulations and talk about how the data isn't complete and all that stuff. And, you have to look back at fisheries managers and realize that their hands are tied, because they only have MRIP to use, and because, we can put a little bit of the blame back on them for not using all the data that they're getting, from these EVTRs. But if we want better fishing regulations, if I'm going to stand here and, say that they should do better, that means that we would have, it makes sense for us to have to do that. So if that becomes part of the law, which it very well may, I've changed my tune on that. I think I definitely will do it. And the reason why I will do it, and the reason why I think you should do it, is because if we give accurate, honest data to these people, the result is going to be, better informed regulations. And I think because, there's no longer going to be this but average applied to all recreational fishermen, we're probably going to get better regulations out of it. So while I don't necessarily support sector separation, I think I am in favor of recreational catch reports. It would depend on how stringent it has to be, but keep your eye on that. That's going to be something interesting going forward. But by March 20th, you need to have these public comments emailed in. I'm going to put the email address right on the screen right now, and let's have our voices heard out there. Last thing is the giveaway, which is ongoing. Starting to see a little uptick in photos right now with this warmer weather, more guys getting out. And, this is a good one. We're going to give away this this surf howdy that I made, along with a Dexter fillet knife. It's a really great prize pack. This one's wrapping up on May 25th. And so you got a long time, and it's a great span of season to get those, to go out fishing and to, catch various species of fresh and saltwater origin. And the basics of the contest are quite easy. It's just got to be a picture of you holding your fish And you email it to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or text it to the number on the screen. And just give me all the pertinent details. Tell me you want to be in the contest for one thing, and then just, give me all the details. Where the fish was caught, what it was caught on, how big it was, who the angler is. We'll get you in the contest, we'll get you in the magazine, and heck, you might even win something cool. Moving over into the reports now, we still got ice fishing going on up north. I'm seeing fewer reports coming from my guys up there. I don't know if they're just kind of over it, kind of sick of ice fishing, or what the reason is. Maybe it's just the nice weather bringing them into other things. But what I have seen, a lot of guys trout fishing through the ice. We've seen some lake trout, salmon, splake, and this has mostly been in Maine. And the fishing's still holding strong. Ice is still plenty thick, so we got ice fishing going on for at least a couple more weeks up there. Crossing over the border now into Massachusetts, let's check in first with Kevin Huang from Surfland Bait and Tackle.
What's up, guys? Kevin from Surfland Bait and Tackle, checking in with the weekly report. As you see, the majority of the ice on the Merrimack is pretty much melted for the most part. So some guys been going out and targeting different types of fish, just throwing bait out there to see what they can catch. They've been catching suckers and those type of fish, yellow perch, and then some guys, the carp guys, are going back out. They're catching some nice carp. I'm going to attach a picture right here of one of the carp caught in the Merrimack. And this is the time of the year, spring's almost here, so all the migratory fish are going to start showing up, including herring, shad, striped bass will be pouring into the Merrimack as the water temperature goes up. And then, going into the spring, everything comes back to life, including freshwater, which they already started the stocking down south of us on the South Shore and the Cape. They've been stocking because they had open water before we did up this way. But we're right behind them. Everything's starting to melt, so they're going to be stocking the trout pretty soon. So if you want to get out there and throw some inline spinners, power bait, or any of that type of stuff for trout, that's coming pretty soon. I'll see you guys next week.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Now we'll jump down into the Boston area and check in with Danny Parma from Fish Bucket Sport Fishing.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with this week's report. No real fishing news, kind of just winding down from the Rissa show. We were there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we spoke to thousands and thousands of people. Everywhere from, little kids casting at schoolies to, the commercial guys, going for the rod and rail tuna. It was just nice to get it, get everyone together and start to make our preparation for the upcoming season. Pretty soon there's going to be some tournaments coming up. I know Peter Santini over at Fishing Fanatics announced something the other day about a flounder tournament coming up. So hopefully, there's some more of those coming up, and I can check in with some catches. Anyway, guys, stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
I had to do a drive through Central Mass last week, and what I saw on the freshwater ponds was a mix. We're starting to definitely see that transition taking over in Central Mass. I saw some ponds that definitely weren't safe. Those appeared to be the shallower ponds, and saw a lot of ponds with edges that definitely weren't safe. So you might have to get creative to get on, but with warm weather in the forecast and 2 days of rain, I think Sunday and Monday is supposed to rain, we may be singing the swan song for ice fishing in Massachusetts, or at least Central Mass. So if you want to get out on the ice one more time, I would do that as quickly as you possibly can. Heading down into the Plymouth area and getting out closer to the Cape, most of the ice is gone or rapidly going away right now. Talked to Pete Belson over at Belson's Bait and Tackle. He, last week we talked to him, they had 6 to 7 inches of ice. Now, he said, might not even be safe. So Whatever ice is still safe on that sort of northern half of that approach to Cape Cod is definitely going to be either gone or at least not safe to walk on by the weekend. So I would be switching over to open water fishing if I was in that area. This is a great time of year to target largemouth bass, and with the stocking going on, it's also a phenomenal time of year to be out fishing for trout. And so those would be the two things that I concentrated on in that region. Crossing the canal out onto the Cape, pretty much the same deal there. We got open water all the way through the Cape right now. And largemouth bass fishing has been good. We've seen some really big pickerel. We've been hearing about some really nice holdover trout coming out of some of these ponds. A lot of fly guys seem to be getting those fish up to 20 inches, and a lot of them are brown trout. So that's been really exciting. And the stocking is going on, which has brought a lot of anglers out of the woodwork, out of their caves to get out there and cast the rod again. And it's that time of awakening. Things are looking really good on the Cape. And no saltwater reports to pass on right now, and that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week. Crossing over into Rhode Island, we'll start things off with an East Bay report from TJ Kopecky.
Thanks, Dave. Hey guys, a quick report from the East Bay. Things are still a little slow here in the East Bay for fishing wise, just due to the lack of places in the East Bay to actually fish. My friend Matt has been fishing in Echo Lake, and he said it's been hit and miss for him. Obviously with the panfish, white perch, yellow perch. He did get on one bass, but it was super tiny. But it's just a point he's getting out there, and there are spots to fish. Moving over into a little bit of the south coast, Massachusetts, couple of ponds. Milford Pond is almost fully open. There's plenty of spots to fish from there. The Upper Warren Reservoir is still a good spot. And Lewinbrook Pond, still waiting for them to stock that pond with trout. It is Massachusetts stocking season, and that is a stock pond along with the Coles River up off of Locust Street. So I will let you guys know about that once I get word of it. And as for holdovers, I haven't heard much of anything up in the Providence River. I'm not sure if anyone's trying, but I think that's going to kick up real soon. The water's warm and the weather's been good. It's been a high sun, and it's definitely seeing some good effects on the water and getting things moving in the local ponds. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was I just wanted to thank everybody for stopping by at the show. I was in the Hook Gear booth with Todd Trayones, and I did a little time over at the Fisherman booth with Dave also. It was just nice to see everybody in the community get together for a great show, and there was almost some record numbers there. They didn't quite get to that 10,000 like they wanted to, but props to Rissa for another great show. And hopefully that sparks everybody, to get out and get ready to do some fishing. I know I'm super psyched and ready to go, and I've been tying rigs. Gonna stop pouring my sinkers pretty soon. Just get everything ready to go for when it starts up, and I have a feeling it's gonna come quick. So from the East Bay, we'll talk to you guys next week. Tight lines, guys.
What I've seen from the Rhode Island guys I keep in touch with is that the hardcore fishermen are coming out in droves now. The freshwater fishing has been very good. Of course, you have to stay away from the trout-stocked waters because those are all closed to all fishing right now. But the largemouth bass fishing is very good in Rhode Island, criminally underrated. A lot of guys getting out there doing it now, and I think over the next week is when it really should start to fire up. This is my favorite time of year to largemouth fish, and it uses probably my three favorite methods. Throwing jigs, throwing jerk baits, and throwing big swim baits. All of them are going to work well right now, and this is probably the best time of year for hooking up to a really big fish. So I would highly recommend putting in your time and doing that. But we've seen all species of perch. We've seen some pickerel. We've seen a lot of panfish coming out of Rhode Island waters this week. Just a lot of guys getting out and getting it done. And one of those guys is Jeff Sullivan. So let's check in with him now.
What's up, Dave? What's going on, guys? Back at it now after a long weekend of the fishing show. It was a great fishing show. A lot of people there. Thank you for coming to support us at the RISA surf casting booth. I really appreciate it. New things on the horizon, guys, upcoming. It's going to be great. It's going to be a good one. I got to see a lot of old faces, a lot of new faces, a lot make new friends. Got to see a lot of old friends, you know, talk fishing for the weekend. I mean, what's better than that, you know? The 2 seminars that we had, thank you guys. Appreciate it very much for showing up to the seminars that we had over the weekend. You know, but hey, after all that fishiness over the weekend, it's time to get down to business, and that's fishing. So I'm going to give you guys a quick tip on how to rig up your soft plastics with zip ties to make them last longer. It's one of the main things I like to use. I always have zip ties on me and keep them in my vehicle at all times, just in case I need to make that soft plastic last a little longer. I have a clear big white one here. You can have small ones too for the smaller soft plastics. Just, you know, kind of be cordial on what you use. But I have this shad here I got from the fishing show. It's on an 8-inch NLBN head. It fits perfectly. I was just playing around with shads the other night. And what I'm going to do is, because there's a lot of real estate back here, if a fish hits this, it's going to rip that. So I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a nice little zip tie, just like so. I'm going to put it underneath the hook like this. I'm going to turn it upside down like so. Just going to latch on so I get a good little crank on it. And I'm just going to get tight with it. Just don't squeeze it too tight, but make it snug. Make sure that that clips on the bottom. You know, you don't want it up here because it takes away the real estate from the hook set. So I have it nice and snug. So I'm going to take a pair of pliers here and just snip it off nice and flush. Come on, Scott. Thank you. And bang. See, you can do one at the neck, but since this is a NLBN that has a screw lock in it, there's really no need. But other soft plastics I have, like this SBJ head here, doesn't have the screw lock, so I did two zip ties. It just, guys, I'm telling you, it makes your soft plastics last so much longer. I mean, 20 to 30 more fish, even more on some days. So, yeah, that's a quick tip I have for you guys this week. All right, I'm going fishing. Later.
The other thing we're hearing a lot more about is, you know, some of the kayak guys and some of the hardcore striper guys getting fired up for holdover striped bass. This warming trend is going to wake these fish up. We're starting to hear about a few scout herring moving up into some of the runs, which is going to wake up some of these fish as well. So, you know, whether you're up in the bay, whether you're up past Providence, whether you're in the salt ponds of South County, the striped bass are, you know, showing signs of waking up. We're hearing about more and more catches. I still haven't heard about anything bigger than like 24 inches, but I'm sure that a few have been caught and just been kept quiet. But that fishery is firing up. And then a couple of hardcore kayak guys that I keep in touch with, we're planning on doing a cod trip this week. So, you know, we're seeing a lot of guys just, again, you know, they're just being pulled out of their caves by this lovely weather, and, you know, all that fish talking at RISA got a lot of guys fired up for that as well. Head boats still don't seem to be doing too much damage out there. In fact, I haven't even heard of anybody running in now probably 3 or 4 weeks. But with more stable weather in the forecast, I think we will see more guys heading out in the coming weeks. So as I say every week, just keep an eye on their social media, and you know, as things warm up, as the seas calm down, we're going to see more runs, and you'll have much better opportunities to hook into some of those offshore species. And that's what I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Moving over into Connecticut, a couple fisheries are really standing out. One is the catch and release trout fishing. The state's been doing a spectacular job stocking, and we've heard of some really big trout caught this week. At least 2 that were pushing the 10-pound mark, which is, that's an impressive sized fish. And you got to give kudos to the state of Connecticut for putting in some giant fish for these guys to catch. I will remind you that it's catch and release only right now until the second Saturday in April, the official opening day. So, you know, you got to let these fish go. But we've been hearing great reports from ponds and lakes, and especially from the rivers. I know the Hammonasset River has been good. I got this awesome picture of a father-son duo getting it done out on the Hammonasset that was sent to me by Andrew from Fisher Factory 3. And I know the Salmon River's been stocked and putting out. I know that the Farmington, same deal. And while we're in the Connecticut River Valley area, let's check in now with Rowan Lytle.
Hey everybody, so it's definitely just getting warmer and warmer, easing into proper spring weather. Looks like we're probably through with safe ice, at least that's what I would recommend. There's definitely still a little bit on certain coves and on some lakes, but it's going away pretty rapidly and the edges are really deteriorated. It just isn't looking that good anymore. So open water season approaches. The Connecticut River is still at a fairly moderate level and running relatively clear. And that means that a lot of the early spring bites haven't really kicked off yet. The water temperature is pretty cold. I would say if you're going to try and get out on the river, pike are probably your best bet for some action. But even that might be on the slow side. The water temperature isn't quite at their good pre-spawn level yet, but it'll get there soon. Definitely looking good in the near future. And at least for now, the river's at a moderate level. So if you do get out, the water clarity is good. It's just a little cold still. So fish will be slow, bear that in mind. Live and dead baits probably your best move. If you're going to use artificials, go fairly finesse and slow.
Now we'll stop in and check in on Captain Mike Roy from Real Cast Charters.
Hey everybody, for this week's fishing report, just pulled the cover off the Pathfinder. So the 2025 season is coming up. A few things I'm doing today, just had my cushions reupholstered, so I'm going to put those on, put the batteries in the boat. Humminbird just released a new software update. It looks like they made some big improvements to the software, so I'm gonna go ahead and update the units and get everything ready to go. We're starting April 8th. That's gonna be fishing for striped bass, light tackle. Usually the second and third week of April is prime time for that. We still have a bunch of openings. This weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll be at the Saltwater Fishing Show in Edison, New Jersey with Shimano G. Loomis. So if you're in the area, stop by and check it out. Thanks.
Now we'll stop in Westbrook and check in with Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. No more ice left, at least down here by the shoreline, so we're starting to get into open water trout fishing, open water freshwater fishing. Some buddies have gotten some nice bass recently. Some trout are getting dumped in now. There's also the remainder, obviously, from the fall stocking program. Now that the water's open, rooster tails, spinners, diving rapalas, everything like that. In the creeks, you got your flies, you got your center pin stuff, you've got your, Berkeley trout worms always. And then for holdover stripers, they're active now. Maybe active as a stretch. They're there, and you can get to them now that the ice is open. Definitely looking in tidal creeks, usually the holes, the deepest spots of those, but generally you're just trying to find some life back in there. If you have side imaging, it's a great time of year to use it, locate those fish. To catch them, 3, 4, 5 inch soft plastics, usually paddle tail or fluke shaped, jig head or weightless if they're nice and shallow on some flats. They can be really picky. So make sure you change up your presentation, change up your approach, your retrieval speed, all that kind of stuff to try to get them to bite. It's definitely starting to pick up. The shop here has started to see an uptick in traffic and a whole bunch of deliveries coming in the door, so we're fired up and ready for spring.
Heading west from there, we do still have some safe ice in the northwest corner of the state. I'm not saying I would walk on it, because I wouldn't, but some of the seasoned veteran ice fishermen are still getting out on the ice. They're still getting some fish. But the big thing that's really grabbing people's attention in Connecticut right now is the Housatonic River. I saw Jason from Bobby J's posted a bunch of pictures over the weekend with fish from like 10 to 18 pounds. Said the crowds were light, the bite was good. So that is really starting to fire up. Nighttime is the right time over there with the big soft plastics. But as the water warms and more herring get into the river, we'll start to see a daytime bite really starting to catch on as well. And for a little bit more on that and some of the other things happening in the western part of the state, let's check in now with Max Finch from Fisherman's World.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with another local fishing report. This past week on the Housatonic with this nicer weather, the ice has dissipated and the fish are biting. We've seen a lot of schoolie to slot-sized fish action during the day, and then at nighttime we've seen some nicer fish over that 35-inch range pushing 40 inches. This time of year you can start switching it up and try throwing some SPs up towards Sully's and up towards the dam. We are waiting for the arrival of springtime herring. We see the first push, any day now, and this should just get better moving into March and then into April. On the salt side, the winter herring fishing has been really slow this year. Whispers, really. Some caught there, some caught here. Anglers are still trying, so if you do want to, wet a rod in the salt, you can always try that. The state is doing their job stocking the trout fisheries, and everybody's gearing up for the season. Thanks and good luck.
That's what I have for you guys in reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there. If nothing else, come and see us at the Saltwater Lure Collectors Club show this weekend. You're not going to regret it. It's a phenomenal show, and you can renew your subscription, get your pliers, and get a little more inspiration to get out there and fish this week. If you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of what we offer for free. We cover all the fishing from offshore to inshore, surf, kayak, paddleboard, freshwater. It's all covered. And we cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine. And we have 3 editions. So if you sign up for the New England edition, you will get digital access to the other 2, which is the Long Island Metro and the New Jersey Delaware edition. You'll also get digital access to all the back issues, and you get our world famous reports. I mean, it's the best $32 you can spend in fishing. I'm completely convinced of that. But if you head to the website and you're still not interested, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.